Thanks for having me, John. Our team member who's based in Kamishli says that there is no restraint being exercised by the Turkish forces. He told us early this morning that within 24 hours, more than 100,000 people had already been internally displaced. He also said that it's not only the Air Force strikes, but it's also artillery, and he said ground forces, including tanks. Again, he's based in Kamishli, but he's well informed, and I believe him.
And this will, I guess, only get worse. From what we understand is that the ground operation has not begun in earnest. You can tell us about at least one of the victims here, a little girl who was seriously hurt by Turkish artillery fire.
Yeah, she was one of the early victims of an airstrike or artillery, and the picture that we got was a picture of her after she had been injured. Most of her leg was gone, and she was taken to the hospital, and her limb was amputated, and that is what saved her life.
She's alive. She's 12 years old, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
Just one of many of the victims so far, and this is day 2. We're also hearing from the International Refugee Committee. This is contrary to your numbers, it's lower. They say in the last 24 hours, more than 64,000 people have fled their homes in northeast Syria. If the offensive continues, it could rise to 300,000 people displaced. And they'll be going to overstretched camps and towns still recovering from the fight against ISIS. Do you believe that 300,000 number, is that low by your estimates, or do you think it'll be much higher? What's your opinion?
No, based on the scale of the attack, again, our team leader reports that the attack is happening over the entire 700-kilometer border between Turkey and Syria. As they are attacking cities like Kamishli and Kobani and the cities and villages in between, the civilians who are running from that violence are headed south towards Raqqa. And again, our team leader says that it's at least 100,000 people.
You know, right now, do you know of any plans being made by the international community, by the UN, to try and house and feed and clothe hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people? Because many of these, they're mums and dads and their kids, and, you know, they've got to have somewhere to go.
Yeah, obviously there's a political conundrum there because we're talking about northeastern Syria, and I don't know of any plans afoot to increase or even develop large-scale relief. There's none that I know of that are being talked about. As far as I know, the NGO workers who were there at the beginning of when this was taking off were rapidly taken to the border and crossed back into Iraq.
You know, while the fighting continues, the United Nations Secretary General has made it perfectly clear that there really is no choice, at least for the UN, but to essentially stand on the sidelines. Listen to this.
The problem of peacekeeping forces is, as the name indicates, you need to have peace to keep. You cannot have a peacekeeping force where there is no peace to keep. A peacekeeping force is always the result of a political agreement. And of course, if there is a political agreement and there is peace to keep, a peacekeeping force has an important role to play. We are not yet there, I believe.
We're not there yet, and we're not going to be there for a while. Military analysts think that this incursion, this operation by the Turks, could last 6 weeks, maybe 2 months, maybe longer. Regardless, it's a long time for tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people to have no shelter, no running water, no sanitation, little or no food. You know, this is why so many people are pointing to this as a humanitarian crisis, which is very quickly in the making.
The scale of this crisis is massive, and the infrastructure that's being destroyed now, even water supply to Hasaka that has been deliberately destroyed, the destruction of these cities results in, again, tens of thousands, if not already 100,000 people internally displaced. The report that we're getting today is that those internally displaced people are ending up staying in the homes of their extended family members, or they're staying in schools or buildings of relative stability, or they're just taking shelter where they find a place to sleep in relative security. These people are internally displaced without the arm of international assistance.
Okay. And Syria is such a mess to begin with. 8 years of civil war, now this. The question is, when's this all going to end? And no one really knows. Steve, but thank you. We wish you all the best.
Thank you.